me a cynic or whatever, but I kind of feel like with the money, and it all goes back to the money. This is why I'm bringing it up during our economic awareness training, is that the money is everywhere. Money is this amazing thing that can be beautiful when it's beautiful, but it can be ugly when it's ugly. And really, it's as much as I talk to you guys about money and what money can do for you. I also really am a person that will warn you that money really is a drug. Money is it's kind of like its own type. It's a financial fentanyl. That's what it is. It's financial fentanyl that basically ends up corrupting so many parts of your society. There are some areas of society where money should not be involved. And money should not be involved in specific areas. I'm going to say things like politics. I think they need to take money out of politics, because then your corporations and your billionaires are going to run everything. Money should be taken out of things like healthcare, because you shouldn't be allowing, the decision to let somebody live or die be based on how much money they have. That's kind of terrible. What else? I think money being involved in things like your educational system causes a lot of inequality in society that just isn't fair for everybody, and it creates this sort of really crappy outcome where certain people get access to certain things that everybody should have access to, and the list kind of goes on and on. And so money is not something that I believe should. It's interesting because if you ask me my position on money and finance, as a financial scientist, I will say money is something that is involved in almost every leg of our society, but money really shouldn't be involved in a lot of areas of our society. Like, money also corrupts things like even your health, your food. The EPA, or is it the EPA? No, that's the Environmental Protection Agency. The FDA, that's supposed to keep your food healthy. They've been corrupted by money. So so whenever they try to go in and say, okay, Americans shouldn't be eating this or eating that, because it's going to kill them. The money comes in, the money walks in, like the money's like a person, like, the money just kind of walks in. I was going to grab my little puppet, but I don't know where it's at. But the money just kind of walks in with a little briefcase, and it opens itself, it lays itself out on the table and says, here's a whole bunch of me. And that's going to change your opinion. And that's going to get you to justify pretty much anything that we ask you to do. That's why to this day, there are foods and stuff like that in the United States that we are told to eat, or that we are told are safe, that are actually banned in other countries. Did y'all know that? How many of y'all knew that? How many? Give me a yes or no if you knew that. That there are a ton of foods. I was really shocked by this. There are a ton of foods that we eat in the United States that are banned in other countries. So I've heard people talk about, when they go to other countries, I've seen them literally say, "I went to this third world country and I was so much healthier than I am here." I went to Guyana with my wife, which again, that's another area where money's interesting. Again, because this is economic awareness training, I like pointing out all the places that where money has an influence where maybe we don't see it. But in Guyana, where they just discovered a whole bunch of oil, so that's created a whole bunch of problems for Guyana. Kind of like how Diddy used to say, "More money, more problems." Well, Guyana has more money, more problems because they have one of the largest oil reserves in the world. And but when we were in Guyana, my wife and I were out there, and I remember noticing like the weight was just falling off. I wasn't eating that much different from what I was eating in the United States, but I was literally slimming down and feeling healthier. So generally speaking, if you connect the fact, again, just talking about money, and because we're here to talk about economic awareness, even the really big spike in cancer rates in the United States. Does anybody give me a yes if you know this? Give me a yes if you know that. I think the last study I saw basically said that 40% of us in this room are going to die of cancer. The 40 to 50%. Like almost half of us in this room right now are going to go out from cancer. And give me a guess if you have a relative who's died from cancer. Both my parents have cancer right now. And it's kind of in remission, like, but still, I don't feel like cancer goes away really. My grandma died of cancer. It's kind of very common, right? So I think a lot of this is connected to the money. The money is so you have these financial cancers that can actually cause real cancer, and a lot of it is linked to the food and the healthcare system. Think about this. This is what's a crazy little financial fact to kind of chew on. Isn't it insane that you have the most expensive healthcare in the world, but you're not even in the top 10 in terms of quality of care? Did y'all know that? I mean, how many of y'all knew that? Give me a yes or no if you knew that. That in the US we spend more money on healthcare than any other country on the planet, but our healthcare isn't even top 20. It's not. I think I don't even know if it's top 30. I think that we were right behind like Costa Rica in terms of quality of care. So I'm sitting there thinking, wait, if we're spending the most money, Why are we getting the best care? That's insane to me. And this is what money is kind of doing to the society. So I want to make it real clear for those that are new to our economic awareness training. I'm big on studying the science of money. I think it's very important for us to understand money. I think financial and money consciousness is the most important thing you can do as a survival mechanism in this society. But I'm also a person that wants to remind you that money consciousness means also that you can't get to the point where you have this money worship or this money glorification. If you start worshiping money like a god, then that god is going to curse you like the devil. If you make money into your god, then you're going to find out that money quickly turns into the devil. So don't let the devil eat you up. Like Denzel Washington said, you go to the party just long enough to leave, and you got to leave before the devil gets there. So same thing is true with money. I want you to dig just far enough into money to get what you need and to be financially successful, but you got to leave the party before the devil gets there, because there's a lot of people that have lots of money that are engaged in just horrific life experiences. You might look at maybe you might look at a Diddy or Trump as examples of this. I don't know what your opinion is politically. I don't. It's okay to have an opinion. I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican or in between. So just know that that's not what our goal is. We're here to talk about the money. All right. So anyway, first of all, I did not greet you all this morning. I'm very, very sorry I didn't do that. Sometimes we just get started and I just jump right in. And by the way, we do money consciousness every single morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. So if you're not on the text list to get a notification to come into the private Zoom so you can engage with everyone, just pull out your phone, text the word morning, MORNING, to the number 87948. Text morning to 87948. If you live in another country and it does not work, then you can go to drboyceelevate.com. That's drboyceelevate.com. And this is a free class. Anybody can join as long as you come in and you're serious and you want to learn things. All right, so let's see here. So I want to say good morning to Sharon and Janelle and let's see, Veronica and Otis, JJ Conway. JJ is such a smart lady, and I met her husband, just a wonderful family. Just you inspire me, JJ. D Hines, Adrena, Calvin McWilliams. I see you, Denise Bryant, Chelsea, Natasha, and feel free to also shout out your city. I think I saw the Bay Area in here, and I know you all are out all over the world. So I see Cincinnati for Robert and Armando from Owensboro, Kentucky. I know Owensboro very well. I spent a lot of time there. All right, so because I'm from Kentucky, but I'm from Louisville. All right, so let's talk about this thing with Trump. And there's a lot of financial angles to this that I kind of wanted to make you aware of to help us understand money and how money flows through society and what money does and does not do. When I look at things, I tend to see the financial side of it. Just because again, I'm not a financial influencer. I'm a financial scientist. I'm a finance PhD. So that's all you do is I spend 20, 30 years just thinking about money all the time and economics and all that, right? So what I want to point to you in terms of understanding what happened with Trump and money and all this. First off, I want to just give you a recap in case you don't know. I assume you all know that Trump was convicted yesterday of a bunch of stuff, 34 counts of something involving a porn star and money and stuff. And he slept with the lady, and I guess that's what these adult film stars do. They sleep with people. And so he slept with this lady, and then it came down to him paying money, there's that word money, paying money to her to cover it up, and then apparently the money was misclassified or something, and so next thing you know, he's convicted, and so I don't know how this is going to play out. There's political implications. Maybe he'll go to jail, maybe not. He's still going to run for president. I think he can still run, even if he's convicted, even if he's in jail. There was actually a guy that ran for president while he was incarcerated. So, I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but that is true. So here's a few things in terms of money that I think you may want to pay attention to when it comes to Trump. Well, first off, financially speaking, just to start with something very simple, how many of you saw that Donald Trump's stock kind of plummeted today? It went down by about 6 or 7%, which is a pretty big one day drop. His company, Trump Media, which by the way, it's a terrible company. I'm not saying Trump is terrible. If you like him, that's fine. If you're going to vote for him, that's fine. That is your right. I am not anti or pro. I don't care about any of that. I told you I don't vote for Democrats or Republicans. I vote for black people. The core issues in the black community, in my opinion, are broken families, declining wealth, violent neighborhoods, and a poor educational system. Those are probably the top four, and then maybe health, mental and physical health. I don't think any Democrat or any Republican is going to fix these issues. I don't. I really don't. Even my friend, well, he's kind of my friend. Hill Harper is running for Senate, and I like Hill Harper so much that I really wish he wasn't running for Senate. I wish he would just go raise a bunch of money and independently go into the black community and help people, because the money corrupts the politics. The money will have you as a senator doing things for people that you don't even like, things that you don't even want to do, and it costs a lot of money to run for the Senate, tens of millions of dollars. So my thought to a guy like Hill Harper is to say, if your goal is to really, really help the black community, then take put the medicine right in the bloodstream. Like, go right into the black community, find some way to raise money, go to your Hollywood friends, connect with some banks, connect with some companies, raise about $20 million, because you can do more. Pay attention. You can do more for the black community as an independent black man with $20 million than you can as a black senator with $200 million. Let me know if you follow what I'm saying here. You can do more as an independent black man for the black community with 20 million than you can as a senator with 200 million, because here's the problem. It's not so much about how the size of your gun. The size of the gun, or they said the size, it ain't the size of the ship, it's the motion of the ocean. So the size of your gun doesn't matter as much as the accuracy with which you point those damn bullets. So sometimes we have black faces in high places that become these big guns. They become very popular. They're on TV and everybody knows who they are. But because they've got to serve everybody, because they got to serve this group and that group and this company and that company, they don't even get around to black people half the time. I'm not saying Hill's not gonna do it. I like Hill. I really like Hill. He's my favorite candidate in terms of people that are running for office right now, because I just think he's smart, and I watched his interview. He sounds so sharp, and he reminds me of Obama. He reminds me of what I loved about Obama. I lived down the street from Obama. I lived a block and a half from Obama in Chicago, and I also lived a block and a half from Minister Louis Farrakhan. I went to see Farrakhan about 4 or 5 times. I never tried to go see Barack because his whole street was blocked off. But I did see that motorcade, by the way, which literally I sat up one night and I counted the number of vehicles in the motorcade. It was crazy. They literally had like 34 vehicles in their motorcade. Just a little fun fact. Like, I saw 2 or 3 fire trucks, ambulances, police motorcycles, big SUVs with 2 or 3 guys hanging out the SUV with AK-47s or something. Like, they would just pop you off, pop your head off if you try to do anything. It was crazy. So anyway, that's just a little side note. Not that that has anything to do with what we're talking about. I just think that that's kind of cool. So anyway, so with Barack Obama, I think I saw Hill Harper speaking. He reminded me of Barack. He went to school with Barack. He's sharp. They even kind of look alike. And I remember just sitting there thinking, like, gosh, that's such a waste. It's such a waste in my view, because I think that that's what we really need. I think the solutions are going to come from people that have a decent amount of resources, that are really, really, really specifically focused on the black community. Like even in the black business school, our budget is about $2 to $3 million a year. We've been able to do 10 times more than a lot of black faces in high places have ever been able to do. And it's not because we have more money or more power. It's because we're focused. We're clear. We're like, no, this every ounce of energy we have is going to go toward this particular problem. We focused ourselves on becoming the surgeons of black wealth in the black community. And when you focus on a topic with a specific surgical accuracy, you have so many insights that other people don't have when they only sort of think about black wealth once a year. We don't think about black wealth once a year. We think about black wealth 300 times a day. My wife and I talk about it. She's a therapist. Not just a therapist. She's a PhD level therapist that trains other therapists. That's how. So she can break down in 1,000 ways the conscious and unconscious ways that wealth is leaked out of the black community, the unconscious and conscious ways that families are ruined in your community, that your culture is being undermined. She can talk about that. She's a master of the subconscious mind. She's read several books about 300 or 400 pages long on the subconscious mind, and how things like symbolism and all that are being used to manipulate black people into doing what other people want them to do. So if you want to really have some deep conversations, go listen to my wife. Her website is coachingwithdralicia.com. She's not a joke. So my point is to say that this to me is the solution. We don't need a whole bunch of money. It's like parenting, right? Which is better for a child? The wealthy parent that they never see, or the parent who may not have as much money, but is wealthy with love, that's wealthy with time, that's wealthy with attention, that's focused on the child, that's waking them up every morning, walking them to the school bus every day, just all there for them when they're sick. That to me is the parent that's going to have the greatest impact, not the super successful parent who never sees their child, right? So the question at the end of the day is, what are we focused on? If we're focused on us, then us will win, right? If whatever you focus on is going to win, whatever seed you plant, whatever flower you water, that's the one that's going to grow. So ask yourself every day, what flowers am I watering? What seeds am I planting? Where am I putting my best and my baddest? Like, where's my energy going? And this is why black wealth tends to evade us, is because if you look at the typical day of most black people, what you will find is that most of our energy goes toward doing something for somebody else. We send our kids to somebody's school, so they're making money off your kid, and while they're making money to miseducate your child, which is absolutely crazy. And then you go to work all day, and so you're building somebody else's business, and then and the reason you're building their business is so you can get just enough money to go pay a landlord. So you're building wealth for the landlord because he's taking all that money, he's investing that money, and over a 30-year period, you bought your landlord two mansions. You bought him two mansions, right? Because I can show you mathematically speaking that if I take that 1,500 a month that you're paying in rent to the landlord, and I expound that over 30 years of an S&P 500 investment, that person is going to make millions of dollars from that investment. So you're building millions in generational wealth. Pay attention now. You're building millions in generational wealth for other people, and you're not getting any of that for yourself, because many of us, unfortunately, are going to die with a net worth that is lower than a newborn baby. There are babies being born in the hospital right now somewhere that have a higher net worth than a lot of people that have been working for 20 or 30 years. Tell me if you follow what I'm saying. Tell me if you agree. What do you think? I mean, do you understand where I'm coming from on this? Or does this sound radical and crazy? I don't think anything's radical about a truth that can be laid out so plainly and so clearly. I could explain this to a 4-year-old. I can explain this to a kid in elementary school. This is not to me, what's fascinating about the psychology of it, and this is why I think economic awareness is so important, is that sometimes we need something or someone to just kind of slap us out of it. Like, when you get into this trance where other people have made a consistent effort and a heavy investment in managing and manipulating our conscious and subconscious minds. Sometimes you just got to get slapped a little bit. Say, what are you doing? Like, what are you talking about? Like maybe you're about to beat somebody up and cuss them out, and then your sister's like, "Come on, you're a Christian. You're not supposed to." And you're like, "Oh, that's right, I am a Christian. I'm not supposed to be ready to put this guy in the casket, right? Or whatever, right?" So what I would say to you, it's at the end of the day, I would encourage you to be really thoughtful in terms of how you go about these things. So let me get back to the Trump thing. Just in case you're wondering, sometimes I do these streams of consciousness, and I hope that that's okay. I just trust whatever God tells me to say. And if you're putting questions in the chat, like I see your question, Alice, and I'm very, very sorry. But if you but I sometimes I get to talking and I'm kind of focused on the discussion. Let's see here. Okay, so yeah, so Alice, if you want to have a one-on-one consultation, I don't have a lot of space to do one-on-ones, so there is a fee to do a one-on-one consultation. So I think that's why the team told you that. Now they can share with you whatever they can share, but some things they can and cannot do. So one thing we do not do on the platform is we cannot give you investing advice. So I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a guy. I may tell you what stock I just bought or things like that, but in terms of giving you specific help that requires either a lot of time or a lot of resources, that's something that does require some sort of a dual investment, right? So just in case you want, I see you mentioned something about closing costs and help with closing costs for your house, and I don't know what that means. So if you have a question, send the email to support@theblackbusinessschool.com. That's support@theblackbusinessschool.com. Okay, so I hope that helps you, Alice. I don't know what you mean by the closing costs in 499, or that part I'm not sure about. All right, so let's move on to the whole Trump thing. All right, so the first thing about Trump is this. Trump is that whole case to me is all about money. You see the money everywhere. I'll point out a couple of things that should heighten your financial awareness in terms of understanding what's actually happening here, in my opinion. One is money tends to make men more attractive, right? I wrote a whole book about this kind of thing, and it was called Financial Lovemaking. And all the science pretty much says that when a man has more money, he becomes more appealing to women, right? So I would argue that Stormy Daniels' interest in Trump might have been driven by the fact that he was one of the richest men in America, and and that tends to be pretty cool. And so that's how they ended up connecting. And so the money kind of brings them together. I became much more handsome when I started making six figures at the age of 30. I wasn't nearly as handsome when I was making $12,000 a year at the age of 29. So with that being said, the other thing about money that's interesting here is money also makes you, as Trump falsely believed, in my opinion, I think money can make men, especially, and people in general, think you can get away with things that you should not be able to get away with, right? So if you remember, Trump made that comment. The reason he was so concerned about the Stormy Daniels case, from what I saw, was that he had made that statement where he was being secretly recorded, where he said something about grabbing women by the you know what, right? Which to me just speaks to just the arrogance. It speaks to the mindset. I think that that's absolutely 100% highly inappropriate. Even if you support Trump, I don't think anybody can support and condone a statement like that. Even if you talk about people that do crazy stuff like that, the idea that you have the arrogance to think that you can even talk about that openly and not have a consequence for that, that's a problem, right? I got daughters. I don't want you talking about grabbing women by the blankety blank without permission. That's highly inappropriate. And so the arrogance was there to make him drop his guard and to say, I'm Donald Trump, I can say anything I want and it's not going to be a consequence. But it was incredibly unstrategic because he was being recorded at the time. And one of the rules I always had was, whenever one of the rules I've always had is that I don't email, text, or say anything that I could not defend on CNN. If I can't defend it, if I'm in front of a nationally televised audience, then I will not say it. If I was if Dr. Boyce is secretly murdering people on the weekends, you will never know. My wife will never know because I wouldn't want to burden my wife by having to carry around that kind of information anyway. And you never know. If we get divorced and I become her worst enemy, then she might turn into a snitch. I don't think she would, but then again, none of us ever thinks our wife would ever do that to us. But do you know, I know my dad was a cop, and my dad told me that the easiest way to catch people in a crime was when they had a relationship with somebody and then they had the pillow talk and they're like, yeah, one time I got scared and I shot him and I killed him. And then next thing you got a new girlfriend and you're cheating and she gets mad and so she goes and she tells the police. So generally speaking, I just thought it was really strange to say, what would make this man dumb enough to even say something crazy like that, let alone, but also there's a part like what makes him dumb enough to even do something like that. I think the money plays a big part in that. I think that him having this Superman billionaire facade basically led him to believe he could get away with anything and say anything. He's even indicated this, I think, when he said something like, I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue in broad daylight and they would still vote for me. So that arrogance, I think, can cause you some problems, right? So the money can create arrogance because money is a drug. So people that are addicted to money are officially pretty much addicted to drugs. Money affects the same region of your brain as cocaine, and that is pretty much what I see when I see this. Also, here's another area where money pops into the Stormy Daniels Donald Trump case. I really think that this was probably kind of just a little bit of a shakedown. I mean, let's just be real, right? Okay, I'm gonna ask y'all a simple question. Give me a yes or no. Yes or no. Put a yes in the chat if you are not an adult film star. Give me a yes in the chat if you've never considered becoming an adult film star. How many yeses? I hope I see a lot of yeses. Now, if I see a couple no's in here, we got to talk. We got to get you some other ways to make money. Give me a yes if you are not, if you've never ever thought about going down to LA and getting into that industry and make, because there's opportunities, I'm sure. And some of y'all, I'm sure some of y'all are a little freaky and got some special skills in the bedroom that could probably make you money right now. But give me a yes if you've never even thought about selling that part of who you are, right? Give me a yes if you agree that maybe some things should not be for sale. I don't know. So here's what my thought process is. Just being honest with you in terms of my honest perspective on money. And I wrote about this a little bit in my book, Financial Lovemaking. Um, Here's the deal. Okay, so there has to be a special mindset of people who are willing to go ahead and take that plunge. Not judging them. They're like, okay, they're sex workers and they have rights and okay, cool, no problem, right? But you have to have a kind of a certain mindset to really even go into that space. And it's really kind of it's even a Kim Kardashian-ish kind of space. Because remember, that's how Kim Kardashian got famous in the first place. And I believe that it was done strategically. I believe her mother helped her out, helped her do it. And then and my friend Jamarlin Martin, who actually ran Bossip at the time, for about 15, 20 years, he told me that back in the day, Kim Kardashian would call them every day. and she would call them and try to get them to cover various stories about her life because she had been trained by Paris Hilton, who also kind of try to make money that way or whatever. So there's a mindset, there's a certain level of economic ambition, if you will, that exists typically in the minds of somebody who will sell things that most of us would not consider to be for sale. Right. So bear with me here. I got a point behind this. So when you're engaged with a person like that, it creates a different kind of relationship. It becomes extremely and blatantly and overtly transactional. It's not just, don't get me wrong. I believe a lot of relationships are more transactional than we think. I really do. Like, for example, I say things that make guys mad all the time. And I just honestly say, I said, look, unfortunately, a lot of women, if they're struggling financially, are going to have a hard time respecting you if you're completely 100% broke. Really, I'm not saying that it doesn't mean you're not worthy of love. I'm just saying that based on all the biology that I've read and all the studies I've seen about female attraction, women tend to find men that are financially secure more attractive because women tend to like security, right? And the security can show up in multiple forms. It can show up in physical security, like big muscles, height. I was the short guy, so I got the short end of that stick. But maybe intelligence. I think I do okay in the intelligence category. And then you've got money, right? Money. And now, mind you, if a person has plenty of money, then financial security may not be something that attracts her to you, right? If she's already got money and she's doing well, like a lot of women are doing quite well financially, maybe that's not as important. But if money's a little bit tight, or if there is a certain degree of financial stress or mismanagement or financial irresponsibility, that tends to drive women crazy. I remember doing research for my book, Financial Lovemaking, back in 2004, 2005. I interviewed a lot of people about love and money to hear their stories. I was blown away by how furious some women would get when their husbands were sloppy with the money or financially irresponsible. I mean, it shocked me because I said they are madder at him for this than they would have been if he had gotten another woman pregnant. Like, this is a level of anger that is really hard to comprehend. And I'll tell you one story I never forgot was there was one lady who said that she was saving money in like a piggy bank for her daughter to go to college. She was putting money into this little bank, and her husband was going right behind her and pulling money out to pay for his lunch. So she was putting money in, and he would go right behind her and pull money out. And so she couldn't understand why the money pot wasn't growing. She didn't. It was confusing. Then she found out what her husband was doing, and she was ready to divorce him. She said, "You son of a blank." She was talking to me on the phone, and she said, "You son of a blah, 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 blah." And she said, and she was actually on her way to divorcing him, by the way. And she said, "You literally ate and shit out our daughter's future." Like, that's how mad she was. And I remember paying attention to how angry she was. And she divorced this man. And I think that the money thing was part of it because it was almost deeper than just the money. It was like, I married an incompetent piece of crap. Right. That's kind of the energy that she seemed to have. So that really kind of woke me up like, whoa, this money thing, as much as we want to act like money doesn't matter, money matters. I think money does matter in relationships. So anyway, so let's get back to this. So again, so my point on making that comment is that I believe a lot of relationships are more transactional than you think. As much as we want to believe, I think 50 Cent had a song that was basically like, "Would you love me if I was riding a bus instead of a Bentley? Would you love me if I was doing 25 years in prison?" I'm sitting there thinking, no, she probably wouldn't, because then you wouldn't be 50 Cent. You'd be Curtis Jackson, inmate number 77654, with no money in your pocket, and that makes you into a different man. That's like them. That's like her asking you, "Would you love me if I weighed 500 pounds? Would you love me if I was bald headed instead of having long flowing hair? Would you love me if I had big pimples on my face?" And the answer would be no. It's a reality role, right? It's just life, right? So I don't know why people are so scared of life, right? So again, but my wife is different from me. She's more of a romantic. She believes in things like unconditional love. And I sit here and I say, no, I don't believe in, I don't understand that, because I don't think, or maybe you'll love me even if you dump me. So maybe that's what she's saying. Maybe she's saying, even if I dump you and leave you and be with a better man, I'll still love you from a distance. So maybe that's what she means by unconditional love. Because where I come from, you have to add value in on some level. That's just what I see. So anyway, so here's the thing. The Stormy Danielses of the world, in my opinion, are more overtly transactional, though. They're more like, in my opinion, they're the people who say, like, there's some people who say, look, if I date you and I'm sleeping with you, then at some point maybe you can help me out with the bills, and the more you help me out with the bills, the more attracted I'll be to you. I think that's perfectly natural, to be honest with you. I don't think that makes you a bad person per se. But then there are people who say, "Give me money and I'll give you sex." Right? Give me money and I'll sleep with you right now, and just make sure you leave the $200 on the dresser on your way out the door. And that's where Stormy Daniels sits. So here's my point. Here's my point. This is again money. Um, I think that when you're dealing with a person like that, who where they might spill over into Calvin always throws it. He always says one word, and it's always like the right word. So his right the right word that Calvin put in there today is prostitution. That's what it is, right? And I think that when you're having a relationship with someone that is so overtly transactional when it comes to money, it's a kind of a different interaction. It's a different situation. It's one of those things where um because you've made yourself vulnerable to this lady by doing what you did, and because she's now seeing you ascend to the presidency, and she sees how your reputation is so fragile right now because you just told the whole world that you like to grab women by the woohoos, right? Well, now she's going to show up and she's going to deliver a shakedown. I believe that she just called and said, hey, I've got this story I want to tell, and as an independent, free, liberated person, I'm going to go tell my story to the world because I got bills to pay over here. So what happened is that 130,000 that they gave this lady, from what I saw, was to basically buy the rights to her story, which they weren't really buying the rights to the story. They were just trying to squash it. Just like Microsoft and Google and other companies and Facebook, they do it all the time. They'll buy a company just so they can kill the company, right? So they bought the story just so they could kill it, and I think that that was what was going on. So that's where money popped up, because I do believe that there was some sort of a shakedownish kind of element here. Then here's the other thing too. So now you're being shaken now again because of your lack of sexual discipline or your unstrategic choices. But everybody makes mistakes, whatever. You chose to sleep with this adult star years ago. Now she's shaking you down, but then the person who helped you pay the money for the shakedown also can shake you down. Michael Cohen, the guy who took the money and paid the money to this lady, now he's turning around and saying, okay, well, what about me? Right? Because everybody has their own self-interest. So now you owe Cohen money, and you probably don't owe him 130, which was the amount that was paid. You probably owe him 130 plus interest. Do you follow what I'm saying? You probably owe him 130 plus about 50 favors, or maybe you owe him 130 plus whatever, because now not only does he have this information on you, but he has something on you that can ruin your reputation, keep you from being president, and possibly get you sent to prison. That's a heavy debt to repay. That's a heavy, heavy burden, and all this is driven by money. So because if you recall, in that trial, the number one the number one witness in the trial was Michael Cohen. The guy who literally put the nail in the coffin for these convictions was the guy who was your number one homeboy back when he was helping you handle business. Now, for whatever reason, that relationship has fallen apart. There's that other word we use a lot, relationships. People don't understand how do money and relationships kind of connect. Well, this might be an example. If he had a good relationship with him, or if things had gone the way they needed to go to keep everything cool, then maybe this could have been dealt with. But it wasn't. So now you're facing these convictions and all that. What else? The other area where money pops into play is generally with these really bogus, really terrible campaign finance laws that we have in the United States, which basically said that this money that was spent technically qualified as a campaign contribution or whatever because it was spent. I think that's all silly. America as a society is corrupt and destroyed and on its way. It's literally become the Titanic for one key reason. The number one reason, in my view, is that you've allowed money into your politics. You've really allowed somebody to pee in the Kool-Aid. The capitalists are running your country, which is like having the drug dealers run the police station. So as the drug dealers are running the police station, you're seeing the police station is getting ransacked. You're seeing the bank is being gutted. You see the people that are controlling your government are using the government as their personal plaything, their personal piggy bank. If you look at Trump's kids, let's talk about Trump. And again, I don't care if you're voting for him or not voting for him. I don't get into that. I promise you. I get accused of being a Trump supporter. I get accused of being a Biden supporter. I ignore all that because I honestly I become the asshole because I say I'm not really voting for any of these people, and it's my right to do that. You're not going to tell me what I have the right to do. I don't succumb to bullying. But here is what Trump's did you know that Trump's kids, he has Ivanka and then there's Jared Kushner. Those are Ivanka's his daughter, Jared Kushner's his son-in-law, and then he's got these other kids, I think Donald Jr. and some other people. They've made like somewhere around like $200 million like since he got elected. They made literally like almost $200 million while he was in the White House. So this for the most part, the presidency has been a massive money grab for the Trump family. Again, you don't have to hate the family to know this. This is just a fact. They are extraordinarily good business people, but they've been accused of a lot of things. They've been accused of major conflicts of interest. Ivanka and Jared Kushner, they have a lot of economic interests where they are accused of influence peddling, which is supposed to be illegal, but I think it happens, in the real world. And so effectively, Ivanka was able to get a lot of these international copyrights and trademarks and everything else done, largely because she was connected to the White House. A lot of people believe that. Also, Jared Kushner has investments in the Opportunity Zones program, which was pushed by the Trump administration, and so they've been accused pretty much of a lot of self dealing and kind of making themselves rich by being in the White House. So to some extent, this and the reason I named all these things, and I want to make sure we're clear on why I'm bringing this up, is that the money's kind of everywhere, and I think financial awareness would mean just kind of looking at this and seeing how money's kind of moving everything around. And if you take the money out of this whole story, then there is no story. If you take the money out of the trial, there is no trial. If you take the money out of the presidency, then there would be no desire for a Trump presidency. I don't think that he wants to be president because he wants to just fix America. I think he wants to be president because he's a guy that has all really, really been obsessed with the god of money. And that does that make Biden better? No, like I'd like to see Hill Harper be president or something. I like intelligent, smart black people, to be honest with you. But really, this is kind of what I'm seeing here as it pertains to this whole Trump thing. So what's going to happen in the future? I have no idea. It'll be fun to watch, but I thought that would be a fun little economic consciousness conversation to be able to sort of see how this all works. Now, what I'm going to do is answer a couple of your questions before we move on. I hope you will allow me really quickly to mention that we do have a list of AI stocks that I really like that you can have for free. If you text the word stock to 87948, text stock to 87948, you will receive that list right away. Also, if you go to our Black Wealth Mastery store, we have a lot of sections. We have an apparel section. We have a lot of Black Wealth apparel. We also have a section on love and money. My wife has workbooks on things like financial anxiety to help you cope with that. I also have some things on love and money that my wife and I have done together. We also have a section for children. We educate our kids here. So if you go to our digital programs at blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com, that's blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. So in the summertime, while you're getting your kids ready for the future, why not have them do something constructive and productive that's going to benefit them for life? A lot of us have to go to work every day because our parents did not invest for us. A lot of us have to go to work every day because nobody taught us financial literacy. A lot of us have to go to work every day because nobody prepared us for the future. I encourage you to break that generational curse right now. We'd love to help you. So a couple places you can either go to our kids program at blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com or you can go to drboycebooks.com. Okay, Alice says I have my kids in BMOT. Great. And I think that it's the best investment you'll ever make. And if you don't agree with us, if your kids go through the program and all the modules and the exams and everything, and you're not happy for any reason, we'll give you your money back because we're that confident in terms of what we do. So feel free to go to drboycebooks.com. That's a great place to get any resource you want when it comes to Black wealth. All right, so let me answer a few of your questions. If you're in the Zoom, put your question inside the Q&A section, and I will answer as many as I can. If it's a prolonged question, then it may be better for support. So the email for our Black Business School support team is support@theblackbusinessschool.com. They are wonderful people. They will take good care of you. And Aisha says, someone says, Adrian says, can you email us the name of the resources? Yeah, well, make sure you're on the email list. A good way to get on there might be, let me think here. Yeah, if you just text the word, if you're on the text list, text morning to 87948, you should be on the email list. And if you're not on that list, then email support@theblackbusinessschool.com. They can give you access to anything that you need. And they're very good people. They're very, very kind and gentle and helpful. All right, so I'm looking strictly in the Q&A section. So if you put your question in the chat, I won't see it. And if you're not inside the Zoom, I won't see the question because I can only look at one screen at a time. But again, if you want to join the Zoom tomorrow morning, we do this economic awareness training every morning, 7 days a week at 10 a.m. Eastern. The class is totally free. So you can feel free to text the word morning to 87948. All right, Veronica says, Robinhood offers gift stocks. We are just starting with very little money. Should we use the gift? Sure, as long as you are aware of what they're asking for in return. Robinhood does not give things away for free. So just make sure you're aware of what you're giving up in exchange for what you're receiving. Robert says, is there a way to tap in, access your home equity without a HELOC or a refi loan? Is there a way to tap in and access your home equity without? I would talk to different banks about that. Um, I mean, HELOCs and refis are the best ways to do that. They have home equity lines of credit and stuff like that. And I've seen students in the Prime program use HELOCs as a way to generate income by selling stock options. So, for example, let's say that you have 50,000 in home equity, you're able to access in the Prime program, one thing that we show you how to do is to take that and leverage it and then buy specific stocks and sell options on those stocks. And that $50,000 could generate easily $2,000 or $3,000 a month in extra income. Sometimes more. It depends on depends on the market, but for the most part, it's a great, stable, relatively low risk way to generate income. Even though all investing involves risk, a lot of students are very happy with the Prime program. So if you want to take a look, just go to drboyceprime.com. That's drboyceprime.com. All right, so let's see here. Barbara says, how does Kobe Bryant's parents need money? Wife inherited his entire fortune. Oh, how do they? Kobe Bryant's parents need money? If they do, that's a shame. Ooh, sheesh. I'm gonna look into that. I didn't know that. Yeah. I don't know what happened with the parents. I think that's kind of sad. I always think it's sad when kids cut off their parents, no matter what the situation, because especially when you talk about anybody who was able to benefit because of their parents' sacrifice. I kind of feel like parents deserve a lot of grace because it's very hard to get it perfect as a parent. And I just hate to see when kids get mad at their parents and could cut them off completely and act like they never really set you up. I think that a healthy ecosystem is where you have a return on your investment, because at some point your parents get old and they need your help. And so this idea that that basically helping the kid means you're not supposed to get anything back, I don't buy into that. Like my parents, I want to take good care of my parents because they gave me so much. My father was there for me. He didn't have to be. He chose to be my dad. I didn't have a dad. I would have been in big trouble without him. So I owe him everything, in my opinion. So I don't understand why people feel different. I don't get it, to be honest with you. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Cancer treatment, Barbara Frank, 301-949-4873. Okay. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but okay. All right. So, yeah, I can't endorse that directly. So because I've gotten in trouble for mentioning things on this platform and having people think that I was endorsing it. So I have to be really thoughtful about that. Let's see. Okay. All right. So Ginger, I see your comments. Try to only make one comment at a time because it's kind of a lot and it makes it a little bit tough for me to speak to everyone in the chat. So if you have a question, put one question in there, and that makes it a little bit easier for us to get things done. If you have something that you'd like for us to take a closer look at, you can email support@theblackbusinessschool.com. TJ says, I need your help. Dr. Watkins recently became an accredited investor and need a conversation regarding my current portfolio and creating income with options. Okay. Well, we have a limited number of one-on-ones and small group sessions that we do. I actually just started a mastermind, but it's really more so for those that have a bigger capital base, that are a little bit more comfortable with more detailed strategies. So if you want to look into any of that, just email support@theblackbusinessschool.com. They can help you get set up with whatever you need. Let's see here. Okay. All right. So Ginger, I don't know if it was a mistake, but I see you got like 15 questions in here. So just one at a time, sweetheart. All right. So Greg Harrison, greetings, Doc. If you get margin with a small account, for instance, 3,000, what will be ideal for investing in? I don't know. You can start somewhere like Coinbase or something like that. That might be a good place to start. Tyson Williams is there. And also if you log in at drboyceprime.com, every 3 weeks, I create what I call Dr. Boyce Money Makers, which are the stocks that have the highest income. So you can sell options on those stocks. All right, Tyrese says, is there a reason why you don't offer a course on fixed income securities? It's more so demand. There's not as much interest there, but if there was enough interest, then I could do something like that, or maybe do a special session or like some weekend or something where we can go through it. Fixed income wasn't really something that I spent a lot of time on, but but the thing is, in my doctoral work and stuff, you get exposed to everything. So I could look into that. So email support at theblackbusinessschool.com and they can put that on the list of things that we can offer. Let's see here. Do I think Trump will go to jail? No, I don't. Calvin, what's a good book on expanding the understanding of stock options? I don't know. One book I have, there's a book called The Complete Encyclopedia for Covered Call Writing that I'm looking at right here. The problem with that though is that it's like 500 pages long, and I don't think you need 500 pages to learn how to trade stock options. I think like I could probably show you in a couple of days. Right? It get you started. Now it would take a while to kind of master the process, so it does take a while. But we did our stock options summit in LA, and I know you guys loved it. We did a survey. 100% of you said that you would recommend it to a friend. And I do believe stock options are important for you to understand and important for your children to understand, because I think it gives them a huge head start when it comes to their finances. Robert, do you think Nvidia will return to its current price after the split? No, that if it splits 10 to 1, it's going to take a long time to get back to $1,000 a share. Good morning. What's your wife's website again? It's coachingwithdralicia.com. That's coachingwithdralicia.com. Otis, any thoughts on Miso Robotics? I don't right now because I don't have it in front of me. If you we do portfolio power play on Tuesdays, so that would be a time where I can go through a lot of stocks. Also, if you go to drboycestocks.com, there's something called what Dr. Boyce is buying, and so every week I kind of pick stocks that I like the most. So you can feel free to take a look at that, but also you can bring that to class, and I can answer it then. Let's see. Other than Mara, what is one good stock to sell options on? Okay, I mentioned Coinbase. I like Coinbase. Let's see. I invested with BBS for 4 years. I don't have enough money to close. Should I sell my stocks? I have only 16K. My closing is 9K ish. Could the BBS help with a portion of my closing costs to closing my house? We don't have a lot of extra money laying around, to be honest with you. I'm going to tell you the truth. It is really hard to build an independent Black institution in a community where the economic trust is not that high. It's one of these things. It's not like we've got just tons of money just sitting around. Most of the money that we make in the Black Business School goes right back in to investing in the Black community, Black people developing things. So it's not like we're sitting on just a big pile of money now. So I say this in terms of transparency to say that if you are very wealthy, if you're sitting on 10 million, 20 million, 50 million, and you're looking for a place to make a donation, we're definitely open for that. We don't look for donations. We're not a 501c3, but it does help. So our ability to just write a big check to get stuff done is limited because we're not like, say, Yale. Even though we're better at Black wealth than Yale, Stanford, or any HBCU in America, we don't get funding from the government. We don't have corporate sponsors because a very radical form of Black wealth that's powernomics oriented is not accepted in the mainstream. I truly believe this to the core of my soul that, and you tell me if you agree with this. Tell me if you can, and then let me know if I'm wrong on some level. I believe that meaningful, impactful, radical economic solutions for the Black community are really seen as a threat by a lot of people. I believe that anybody that's truly solving Black wealth problems, is truly solving problems when it comes to Black wealth, Black families, Black education, is going to be seen as being extremist because they're not used to solutions that actually work. They're not. It'd be great. I mean, we could raise $10 million if I got up here and just said, okay, everybody, y'all make sure y'all all show up and vote for Joe Biden, right? If I did that, sure, it'd be easy. I mean, because that's what people like, ineffective solutions. I don't. I'm a mathematician, and you can't, if you keep telling me that 2 plus 2 is 88, I'm not going to believe you. I'm going to say, no, it's not. 2 plus 2 is 4. But 44 plus 44 is 88, and we can do that. But then people say, oh, that's crazy. You're asking for too much. That's too extreme. That's radical. Well, you got an extreme problem. You need an extreme solution. It took an extreme amount of effort to create a multi-trillion dollar wealth disparity in America. It took an extreme amount of effort for them to put you so far behind financially that you are right now. It took an extreme amount of effort for them to be able to extract billions of dollars out of you every year. So I believe it's going to take an extreme amount of effort to fix that. You understand? To right this ship, it's going to take a lot of work. And so generally speaking, when I come out here and I lay these things out, the truth of the matter is that some of these ideas are just ahead of their time. I believe that, or I hope in 80 years, everything I'm saying to you is not going to be seen as extraordinary, weird, unique, or radical. it'll be seen like, of course you have to invest for your children. Of course you have to teach financial literacy when people are young. Of course you should keep your wealth in your community if you want your community to prosper, right? Of course black people should educate their own kids. Things like that. I believe that that's going to come, but it's not here yet. So really, me talking in 2024 about ideas that may not be accepted until 2124 is no different from somebody in 1924 talking about things that we didn't accept until beyond the year 2000. That's literally the world we live in. And I accept that completely. I don't complain. I'm not here to whine about it. I'm just here to tell you the reality, right? So yeah, and it does make it hard to make money, to build the school. It does make it hard to get certain things done. But that's pretty much the burden that you accept when you try to become a pioneer in something. You're just not going to get everything that you would like to have. Because when you present an idea that is different from what people are used to, the first reaction is what they call cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is where it sounds so crazy and so different that you just get mad. Your first reaction is to get mad. But I'm very confident in sharing these ideas because I know what the hell I'm talking about. I am a financial scientist. I have sat next to the smartest white people, Asian people, Russian people, and studied finance at the absolute highest levels. And so when I sat down and really spent 10,000 hours studying exactly what's going on with wealth in the black community, I came to some very simple conclusions, very simple diagnoses to fix the problem. And I stand by every single thing that I say in this regard. So yeah, so if we don't have the money that we need, that's okay. We can do more with $1 million than most institutions can do with 50 million because they're applying all those resources in the wrong direction anyway. Let me give you an example. HBCUs are screwing up because number one, you're ignoring people with real solutions like Dr. Claude Anderson. They should be ashamed of the fact that they're not honoring powernomics within those schools. That right there tells me that many HBCUs are working for someone that is giving them an agenda that is highly ineffective. Powernomics should be a core principle within every HBCU in America if your goal is to truly build black wealth. But the goal isn't to build black wealth. Your original mission was not to build black wealth. Your original mission was to train black people to go work for white people. That's why at every graduation you have thousands of kids that are like, I'm going to go work for Goldman Sachs. Well, okay, so Jewish people are going to get rich off your brilliance. I'm going to work for Google. Okay, so these other people are going to get rich off your brilliance. Google and their shareholders are going to get rich off. So that is a culture. That's a culture, and it's nothing wrong with it. I'm not making fun of anybody who works for Goldman Sachs, but I'm like, okay, well, at what point are you going to be working for you? At what point are you going to take your brilliance and truly maximize the potential of that brilliance? You do know that the reason Goldman Sachs is so happy to pay you 300,000 a year, it's probably because you're worth about 30 million a year and you don't even know it. You don't even know it. So whenever you have somebody that comes along who's absolutely amazing and brilliant and extraordinary in the black community, somebody who's supposed to be the next Elon Musk, the next Mark Zuckerberg, we abort their potential early. We stunt their growth because all we do is we train them on how to be an employee. That's what we train them on how to go and you can go get a job as a programmer for IBM or whatever. We don't think about like, okay, what's required to build the capital base and the support system that will really allow this young man to really fly. That will allow this young woman to really become the billionaire mogul and job creator that she's supposed to be. Instead of shrinking her and making her an employee. This is a mindset, people. And we got to shift the mindset. This is why we hired psychologists and therapists in the Black Business School, because you need some damn financial therapy on a major, epic, surgical, emergency level. Like it is a crisis stage. It is crazy that millions of our people are going to die with a net worth that is lower than that of a newborn baby. This is crazy. It's preventable. It's simple, but it's absolutely ridiculous. We should be embarrassed by this. And I'm not talking about just people that didn't go to school. I'm talking about the ones who went to school the longest. How in the hell did you go to school that long and put in all that effort and you hate your life, you're mistreated on your job, and your net worth is negative $25,000? Not that's not supposed to happen. That's not called building wealth. That's called losing wealth. So that's where I stand. That's what I believe, and I stand by it because I have complete confidence in everything that I know. I don't know everything, but I'm learning and I'm growing and I'm figuring things out. So literally, the way I talk to you 3 years from now is going to be different from the way I'm talking now because in 3 years I'm going to be smarter than I am right now because I'm always thinking about this problem. So anyway, I'm done. I'm gonna finish up for today. I'm gonna answer a few more questions and we'll bounce out. I try to keep this in the 30 to 45 minute range, but sometimes the Holy Ghost gets me, and I just keep on going. Adrena Broussard says, "Do you know anything about utilizing self-directed IRAs to buy property?" There are ways to do that. There are rules in terms of how you use IRA money and 401k money. I would encourage you to maybe speak to whoever the banker is that's kind of helping you manage your IRA or your 401k or 403b or whatever it is, and make sure that you are minimizing the tax burden, because I know that there are special exceptions when you go buy property. If you use the money to make a down payment on a home, they give you a big tax break on that. Let's see. Is Palantir a good stock for options trading? Asked Olivia. I don't think it is, but I don't have it in front of me, so I can't say for sure. If you want to see what we do in terms of options trading and all that stuff and income, it's a great way to make income. Feel free to go to drboyceprime.com, or you can also, if you want to, I have a free training called How to Make Money Without Working. If you text the word money to 87948, text money to 87948, you can watch that. And I guarantee you it's going to rock your world. It'll change your life. Everybody loves that. It's been seen by probably about 250,000 people now. And I know that I just know you're going to like it. It'll be different from anything you've ever seen. All right. So, let's see. Paul Bacadney says, I have 3 young men working in my warehouse. I told them they must save and invest a portion of their earnings. Can I get some direction to facilitate this request? Yeah, what I do for the young people that work for me, I got a couple of young guys that work for me and a couple of young ladies. I do like a matching program, and I told them. Now one of them is my son. Like I married his wife, his mother, and so he's a son to me. And but he's not my biological son. He is a great dad. His dad's a great guy. We work together to raise him together. Anyway, the deal I made with him was like a matching program, and I said every penny. I said I'll be the bank of Boyce, and I'll hold your money. And for every nickel that you put in the bank of Boyce in a year, I'll double that money for you. So I'll give you a really good ROI. Now, obviously, you can't do that for everybody, but maybe you can do something else, some other type of incentive to maybe say I'll add a little bit to it. Like companies do that, like they'll match or they'll match up to a certain amount that you put in your 401k as an incentive to invest. So I encourage you to consider doing something like that with your kids or with anybody that you care about, to encourage them to save and invest. Because here's the thing. Um, a teenager who starts investing young and makes that part of their habit and makes that part of their natural flow where they have the money automatically being pulled out of their account is going to be drastically wealthier than most young people. Most young people don't really start saving and investing for retirement or anything until they're maybe late 30s or even early 40s. I wish I could show you a chart that will show you the hundreds of thousands of dollars in terms of the difference in wealth levels that occur if you start investing at say 19 versus 39. It's not even close. It's ridiculous. But then here's the other thing. I want to take you to the next level and show you the difference in wealth that occurs between somebody who starts investing at the age of 0 versus somebody who starts even at the age of 19. Now, obviously, a person cannot invest at the age of 0. Newborn babies don't have any money. They don't know anything about the stock market. A child is born with no state of mind, blind to the ways of mankind, right? So the baby doesn't know how to invest. That's where you're supposed to step in, because wealth building, true wealth building at the highest levels is a team sport. True wealth building at the highest levels is like a game of basketball. I cannot win the NBA championship playing by myself. I need to have teammates. So when it comes to economics, if you have no teammates, that right there explains a good 60% of why you ain't got no wealth. You can't really have wealth in America if you have no teammates. So, and then also you got to understand that you got to be a good teammate. Stop abandoning these kids. Stop financially abusing them. Stop sending them out across town begging a stranger to give them something you should have gave them at birth. That's insanity to me. That is absolute insanity. It's abusive, and the evidence is everywhere. The evidence is everywhere. The evidence is everywhere. The only reason that you don't respond to it is because you, just like the rest of America, just like the rest of the world, have become completely immune to the effect of Black suffering. It ain't just racist people who don't think Black people feel pain. You've seen those studies, right? Let me know if you've seen those studies where they say that a lot of white people believe Black people feel less pain than other people. Anybody heard those studies? So I don't think it's just white people who think that. I think we think that. I think we do. I think we're just like, oh, well, you're Black, you're supposed to suffer. Just like, for example, just the amount of resentment that a young person would receive from other black people because he did not grow up in the hood. He didn't get shot every day. His mama wasn't on crack and he didn't get abused. Well, you ain't really had no black experience. When I was a boy, when I was a kid, we getting those poverty Olympics. When I was a kid, I had to eat bologna sandwiches with no bologna. When I was a kid, my daddy went to the store to get cigarettes and never came back. When I was a kid, I got shot 3 times before I got in the third grade. Like we get into these like hood poverty struggle Olympics, and we really somehow feel that people that did not go through that much pain, that they didn't really have a unique, authentic black experience. And I don't like that. I don't like that amount of pain. That's not fun. I mean, sure, pain can build resilience, pain can make you hungry, pain can make you strong, but there's a certain point where pain only breeds trauma. Pain only breeds like dysfunction and psychological triggers and mental illness. And so the mental health issues are everywhere in the community, largely because we just think that black pain is supposed to happen. And I don't think that that's true. I don't think we should be inheriting pain. I also don't think that we should be passing pain on. So part of the reason, and I'm going to close on this point, part of the reason we do economic awareness and financial consciousness training is because my goal is to just say, let's become conscious about all the little things we do that we don't even think about. I owe this class idea primarily to talks with my wife because she was helping me really understand two things that she helped me understand that led to a shift in how I talk about economics. One is she's a specialist, she's certified in trauma. And she was showing me all the studies that show me how bad trauma affects you. Trauma will destroy your economics. Trauma will destroy your relationships. Trauma will destroy your mental health. And it destroys your physical health. Traumatized people die younger than people who are not traumatized. And in America, you're already served a big bowl of trauma that just comes from being black. You're already going to be traumatized when you go in places and you think you're going to be treated like everybody else, and then they mistreat you because you're black. That's traumatic. It's very hurtful. It's very painful. It's hard to let that go. Right. That's the first thing. The second thing that she said that really got to me was when she started talking about the subconscious mind and how deep the programming is and all the different ways that the subconscious mind is programmed through symbolism and repetition and trauma. That's another pathway to the subconscious mind. And I said, okay, I get it now. We're just all hypnotized. We're all brainwashed. That's why we don't change our behavior. That's why we don't change our habits. So I said, okay, let's have a wake up call every morning at 10 a.m. My goal is to be your financial cup of coffee. I want to wake you up, I want to slap you, pull your ass out of bed, and we're going to get in here. We're going to become conscious. So literally that's what we do. We've been doing it consistently. I'm going to keep on doing it. So if you're here, I'm going to be here with you. So God bless all of you that are going on this journey with me. I am so humbled and happy that you're trusting me to share this with you. And I'm also honored that I get to be a part of this with you. Okay. So anyway, I gotta go, guys. I'm about to get out of here and get to getting on some other stuff we got to do. If you want to take a look at our Black Wealth Mastery store, if you go there, it's drboycebooks.com. If you scroll through it and see some stuff that you like, we'd appreciate it. If you would just consider something that might help you, because we have a lot of resources there. So drboycebooks.com. You can use the code word book club, all one word, and you get 30% off anything in the store. I think the convention tickets are even there too. So if you use the code word book club, it takes 30% off anything in the store. Also, if you want to take a look at our flashcards for kids or our Black Millionaires of Tomorrow program, things like that, you can go to blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. So feel free to go take a look at that. All right, guys, I'm out of here. And and last but not least, I want to remind you, for those that don't know, if you're not on the text list where I text you the reminder when we meet every morning for class, just pull out your phone, text the word morning, MORNING, to the number 87948. Text morning to 87948. If you live in another country and you cannot do that, just go to drboyceelevate.com, drboyceelevate.com, because I know some of you live in other countries and you want to be here too. So drboyceelevate.com will also connect.